difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Things are getting real in Diddy's explosive court drama. We're on day 3 of jury selection and the pressure, straight up intense.
I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it, I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, I'm going to rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace.
The heat's on everyone from the prosecutors to Diddy's team of top-tier attorneys. But here's the real jaw-dropper.
I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
The judge just brought in a legal big shot Ben Chew. Yep, that Ben Chew. The same guy who helped Johnny Depp crush that wild case against Amber Heard. In just 48 hours, 167 potential jurors were brought in. Out of those, 49 were instantly dismissed. The rest? Hit with a barrage of nearly 100 rapid-fire yes-no questions, most of them digging into where they get their news and how they really feel about Diddy.
New York federal courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs told the judge he was, quote, a little nervous. The rap mogul's criminal trial began this morning. He is trafficking, racketeering, and more. The two sides are now in the process of selecting a jury of 12, plus...
Some straight up admitted they're not fans. Others said they couldn't guarantee they'd be neutral. No filters, no fluff. By day 3, they had it narrowed down to 35 potential jurors. And it's a mixed crowd.
Depp built a reputation as one of the most talented actors in Hollywood. A respected artist whose name was associated with success at the box office. Today, his name is associated with...
Some folks work in design, others in healthcare, social work, even on factory floors. The age range, from 30s to 80s, and when it comes to where they get their info, it's all over YouTube, social media, traditional newspapers, you name it, and that's where it starts to get complicated.
This upcoming Diddy trial that's coming up in a few days. I think it's coming up in about 4 or 5 days. How you feel about Cassie testifying against Diddy?
Yes, sir. First of all, it should be absolutely illegal for Cassie to testify against Diddy. When he paid her off.
These jurors are swimming in celebrity headlines and viral hot takes, and that could seriously cloud how they view this case. Take Dr. Umar, for example. He's already stirring the pot with his bold opinions. Now the judge is zeroing in on the final lineup, 12 jurors plus 6 alternates all pulled from that narrowed pool. But let's be real, this ain't your average trial. Diddy's up against 5 serious federal charges. Prosecutors are claiming he ran an illegal operation tied to sex and drugs, and guess what? His ex, Cassie Ventura, might even take the stand. If he's found guilty, it's not just about money. He could be staring down life in prison. That's exactly why the judge tapped in the heavy hitter Ben Chew, the same legal beast who helped Johnny Depp take down Amber Heard. He's here to school everyone on how jury selection really works when a celebrity's in the hot seat.
I believe there was an NDA involved in that situation. He was paying her off to shut up and go away. After all the money he paid her, after her signing an NDA, how can she then be brought back into court to testify against him? It reminds me of Bill Cosby.
Ben made one thing clear: people usually get hyped for celeb trials. To them, it's like sitting front row at a real-life drama. Some even see it as their shot at something big. But this trial? Whole different energy. Nobody's rushing to be involved. Why? Because this isn't some flashy courtroom feud. It's criminal and it's dark. This is heavy, heavy stuff.
Some of those women who lied on Bill Cosby during his sex abuse cases had NDAs. And the court let them break the NDA. You never see this with a white man accused of the same. You never see this with a Caucasian accused of the same. His lawyer should do all that they can to fight against Cassie testifying. She wasn't sex trafficked.
Ben said a lot of folks are backing off because the details are just too disturbing. The kind of evidence they might be forced to see could mess with anyone's head. And word is, Diddy's feeling the heat too looked visibly rattled during jury selection this morning. Ben also explained the type of jurors Diddy's team is probably hoping for: younger, more laid-back, open-minded people who won't get shocked easily. And he even pointed out that more men might be preferred, not because women aren't fair, but because some of the case details could hit women differently and make it harder to stay 100% neutral.
So why are you testifying in a sex trafficking case? He is not being charged with crimes against Cassie. He's being charged with crimes against others. Cassie was paid and dismissed. Why is she being brought back into court after taking that man's money and testifying against him? That right there is clearly an excessive and abusive use.
And nowhere's where the real drama kicks in. Insiders say Diddy was not feeling it when the judge brought in Johnny Depp's lawyer to weigh in on jury selection.
Wrong. I do not like it. As far as Puffy asking for his case to be delayed, I agree with that. Remember, one of his lawyers recused himself, okay, at least one of them. So he probably has, some new people on his legal team. They got to get reacclimated and get caught up with what's going on. And I saw nothing wrong with him asking for a 2-month delay.
Behind closed doors, Diddy reportedly lost it. His legal team didn't see that move coming, and now he's stressing it could throw everything off. Because when it comes down to it, who lands on that jury could change the entire outcome. Starting Friday, both sides get to use what's called preemptory challenges. Basically, they can boot a juror for almost any reason, except race or gender. If the judge suspects bias, it's a no-go, and the jury pool's already had some wild moments. One person got dismissed just for saying they worked at HBO. Yep, that HBO. The one that just dropped a documentary on Diddy.
He's already in jail. Y'all didn't give him bail, which y'all also think is a violation of his constitutional rights. So he should have got the 8-week delay. But here we go again. Deion Sanders. We want to make an example out of Puff. And of course, Deion wasn't accused of what Puffy is being accused of, but we want to make an example out of Sean Puffy Combs. He was too confident, he was too big, and it was time for us to break.
Behind closed doors, Diddy reportedly lost it. His legal team didn't see that move coming, and now he's stressing it could throw everything off. Because when it comes down to it, who lands on that jury could change the entire outcome. Starting Friday, both sides get to use what's called preemptory challenges. Basically, they can boot a juror for almost any reason, except race or gender. If the judge suspects bias, it's a no-go, and the jury pool's already had some wild moments. One person got dismissed just for saying they worked at HBO. Yep, that HBO. The one that just dropped a documentary on Diddy.
So have a member of the team going through the social media of these jurors, making sure they didn't do anything. I mean, how much research can you do in terms of, did they search for something? Did they say something? I always am curious about that because you come into court the next day and you always hear a prosecutor or defense attorney say, court, we have an issue we would like to bring to your attention. Juror number 5 was looking, it's like, how did they find that out? Is that what happens?
Prosecutors say Diddy wasn't just showing up at these parties, he was the mastermind. They allege he planned, organized, and directed everything. And sometimes, he even recorded it all without the women knowing. These weren't quick get-togethers, either. Some parties stretched out for days, with a rotating cast of people coming and going.
Well, it is in a high-stakes case like this. I mean, as you know, not all clients have the resources to hire, jury consultants and to hire investigators. But in this case, you have a defendant who could theoretically be sentenced to life in prison, who has the means. So I'm sure, or I would think, that his counsel have a team of investigators.
Now here's where things take an even wilder turn. Chopper just came forward with chilling claims. He spilled details that had never even been whispered in public, including Diddy allegedly owning massive sex toys for himself. But that's not all. Chopper also shared a crazy story about Diddy allegedly making a move on an MTV cameraman, and the guy was so freaked out, he quit on the spot.
Following the jurors around to the extent they can and looking for any electronic footprint.
Now, I mentioned before how can you believe the jurors? How do you know they're telling the truth? Well, I'll tell you what we've seen so far in the Combs jury selection process, you have...
To keep the party rolling, Diddy allegedly handed out drug stuff like G and magic mushrooms. And the women? According to reports, they were just expected to go along with it. No questions, once the chaos wrapped, IV fluids were reportedly used to revive them from pure exhaustion. The image being painted in court? It's dark, and prosecutors say it's way bigger than a single night or one leaked tape.
What seems to be a lot of honesty, okay? Because you had one prospective juror who told the court that she had been sexually assaulted as a teenager, and that if the defense brings up at trial that, look, these alleged victims didn't report what they say happened to them, this juror indicated they would understand why, and they would be biased in the...
And it gets even heavier. The charges claim Diddy used more than just fear. They allege guns, kidnappings, even setting fires to keep people under control. One of the listed victims, only known as Victim 1, is widely believed to be Cassie Ventura, and in one shocking moment caught on a hotel hallway camera in LA back in 2016, Diddy was seen hitting, kicking, and even throwing a vase at Cassie.
You put Johnny Depp on the stand, it's always a high-risk strategy. It worked for you. If you were representing Sean Diddy Combs, would you put him up?
Stevie J later tried to play it off, claiming Diddy was high when he attacked Cassie. But then came another disturbing detail from the court docs. Diddy allegedly dangled a woman off a balcony during a heated fight. The level of control and chaos being described, it's next level.
Well, we put Johnny up because he was telling the truth. So that was a very easy decision to make, and he had the burden of proof, and frankly, we couldn't have stopped him even if we wanted to, but we didn't want to. Telling the truth as he did.
But Diddy's legal dream team isn't folding. Leading the charge is Mark Agnifilo, a heavyweight criminal defense attorney who's repped some serious names, including the NX-IVM cult leader and pharma bro Martin Shkreli. Alongside him, Tenny, Gallo, Alexandra Shapiro, and Brian Steele. Yep, the same Brian Steele currently defending rapper Young Thug. And here's where things heat up. Diddy rejected a plea deal. Straight up said no, either he thinks he can win, or there's more behind. The scenes we haven't seen yet.
For several days, you're not telling the truth. Skilled attorneys on the other side are going to puncture that. I believe in that system. I think in this case, I don't think he's got any choice. Given that video, he's got to explain it. He's got to say that he's terribly sorry for it, but that was an aberration. That's not who he is. He simply has.
There are whispers that Diddy used his wealth and power to create a trap private jets, luxurious hotels, and lavish gifts acting like a golden cage. One woman shared how she was flown to high-profile events, thinking she'd be networking, only to end up in situations that left her feeling trapped and terrified. Others say they felt stuck, unable to walk away without risking everything: their careers, their lives. This is the kind of manipulation prosecutors claim Diddy used, making people feel indebted to him or like there was no way out.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Behind the scenes, insiders are revealing the tight control in place. Phones were locked up, non-disclosure agreements were mandatory, and security kept a close eye on every movement. Some even say there were cameras secretly placed in spots no one would have expected. This trial isn't just about one specific incident anymore. It's beginning to seem like a larger system designed to protect Diddy and silence anyone who might speak out. Now people are questioning how long this went on and who knew the truth behind closed doors. With the case now fully underway, the music industry is feeling the shockwaves. Former proteges of Diddy, who once looked up to him, are now staying. Eerily quiet. Too quiet. Some are even going as far as removing collaborations and photos from their social media, almost like they're trying to erase themselves from the story. Rumor has it that a few high-profile artists have already hired lawyers just in case they get pulled into the chaos. Why? Prosecutors are digging into years of parties, partnerships, and label ties, and anyone who was involved or stayed silent might be called to testify or face worse. A few people in the industry are trying to downplay it, claiming they never saw anything, but insiders are calling that out as pure spin. There were whispers for years, but no one dared to speak up because Diddy held all the power. Crossing him could have ended your career. Meanwhile, Bad Boy Records is struggling to stay afloat, and fans aren't buying the silence. Social media is calling out both the label and its artists, and the entire brand's image is suffering.
So here's what came out of today's hearing. Number one, the government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial.
People are now questioning just how far this goes and how many stayed silent just to keep cashing in. As the investigation intensifies, it's no longer just about Diddy. It's about his entire empire. Authorities are now looking into his companies, financial transactions, and who approved what. The big question is, was it all driven by one person, or did others play a part in keeping things afloat? Some insiders are hinting that certain staffers were more involved than they've let on. Former bodyguards, assistants, and event planners are being tracked down for interviews, and if any of them decide to flip, this case could spiral in multiple directions. There's talk that some employees tried to voice concerns over the years, but either got fired or were bought out. A few documents have already surfaced, showing payouts made to silence people. These hush agreements are now being scrutinized, especially if they're linked to illegal activities.
They also talked about the jury selection process, which one legal expert I spoke to said is probably the most important thing that you want to pay close attention to before the actual trial starts.
People are now questioning just how far this goes and how many stayed silent just to keep cashing in. As the investigation intensifies, it's no longer just about Diddy. It's about his entire empire. Authorities are now looking into his companies, financial transactions, and who approved what. The big question is, was it all driven by one person, or did others play a part in keeping things afloat? Some insiders are hinting that certain staffers were more involved than they've let on. Former bodyguards, assistants, and event planners are being tracked down for interviews, and if any of them decide to flip, this case could spiral in multiple directions. There's talk that some employees tried to voice concerns over the years, but either got fired or were bought out. A few documents have already surfaced, showing payouts made to silence people. These hush agreements are now being scrutinized, especially if they're linked to illegal activities. Right now, Diddy's lifestyle and business operations are under intense scrutiny. From his real estate deals to company events, everything is being examined. Federal agents are diving deep, and nothing is off limits. The pressure is on, and the clock is ticking. If more evidence surfaces, texts, emails, contracts, things could go from bad to catastrophic. And those who thought they were safe out of the spotlight, they might be next in line to testify. So, what's Diddy's strategy heading into this hearing? His lead attorney, Agni Philo, insists the whole situation is being blown out of proportion. He argues that Diddy wasn't coercing anyone, claiming he simply lived what's called a swinger lifestyle, where everything was supposedly consensual and adults were involved in wild behavior willingly.
And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his defense team. And just to recap, Combs, who is 55 years old, could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
As for that hotel video with Cassie, the defense claims it's just footage of a heated argument in the midst of a long, toxic relationship, not a case of human trafficking. They argue that Diddy's being unfairly targeted and dragged through the mud simply because of his fame. In a statement, his lawyer said Diddy is far from perfect, but he is no criminal. Now, Diddy's preparing to step into that courtroom and fight to clear his name on his terms. If you're following this crazy case, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be back with more updates, so stay locked in and we'll catch you in the next one.